For all the people that were thinking that 2023 would suddenly, instantly see all the problems of Juventus gone, well, I'm really sorry to tell you, but it's wrong. We have a lot of problems. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well, or at least better than what we are reading from La Continassa. I told you a lot of problems, a lot of bad luck, a lot of injuries, a lot of big players on the market. Well, we'll speak about all these kind of things, but before starting, maybe I have to announce you the worst news possible. Well, we are playing twice versus Monza in January. You will tell me, Beppe, why is it a problem? Yes, it's true, we already lost one time versus Monza, but is it that dramatic? Well, probably yes, because yesterday there was a Christmas party at Monza with President Berlusconi that yesterday he said in front of a lot of people, men and women, that he wanted to actually stimulate the team. He wanted to give them a special gift. Well, what is it? If they are able to beat one of the big teams that are upcoming, Milan or Juve, he promised them to give them a bus full of women in the locker room. Ciao Juventini again. We will start now with the serious news because we have a lot of things to speak about. Not about Berlusconi and the really strange promise. We go to the normal news. Well, normal, they are really bad. Because Corriere dello Sport, they opened today with Messi. Messi that did fantastically well yesterday. What a beautiful performance from Leo Messi. But we have to concentrate on what they are writing below. The first bad news of the day, Pogba. Pogba non riesce a guarire. Pogba can't heal. Disaster, especially if we are reading the words of Romeo Agresti that is saying the last news about Paul Pogba, tweeted yesterday 3 minutes after midnight. He said the feeling is that to see Paul Pogba again on the field playing a game with Juventus, we will need at least one more month. The details tomorrow on Goal Italia. So we were waiting for the details. I was reading a bit all the papers this morning. It's a disaster news, it's an annoying news, but on the other hand, is it a changing news or something that is totally changing the programs of Juventus? Actually not, because if we are reading that, we are all scared. We go immediately as, mamma mia, what a flop, why did we sign Pogba? I wanted to say buy, but we didn't spend any euro, except of the salary. Well, it's not as dramatic as what we are reading, but it's really an annoying one, because we are missing Paul Pogba since the 24th of July. We were all expecting to see him on the field versus Sassuolo. Well, we will have to wait. Not even versus Cremonese on the bench, not even the game after that Udinese, not even versus Napoli, where we were all thinking to see him as a starter. No, we'll have to wait a bit more, maybe on the 29th of January, the last game of January, again versus Monza. The Monza that will be ultra boosted to have that beautiful gift from Berlusconi. Well, we will have to wait a bit. Why? Is it because there is a new problem on Pogba? No, everything is going according to plan, but Juventus want to take zero risk with Pogba. He's not in top form, he's not ready to run. He will stay 1 or 2 more weeks training individually. He will absolutely not travel to London with the team for the game that we have planned on Saturday, so we'll have to wait a bit more. But it's an annoying thing because we were already trying to dream about the new tactics of Max Allegri, how to use Paul Pogba. What is the problem? Of course, that we will have to wait until the end of January. That means the last day of the Mercato to understand if Paul Pogba, yes or no, will finally play with Juventus. What is the consequence of that? That he will block the Mercato. He will block the Mercato of the midfielders. You tell me, Beppe, are we buying new midfielders? No, actually it's not the entry Mercato of the midfielder, but it's the exit Mercato of the midfielders with 2 big names, Weston McKennie, but also Adrien Rabiot, that could have been sold to make some cash for Juventus. Well, Rabiot has some big offers. Newcastle are ready to pay 12 to 15 million euro to Juventus to have already the Frenchman in January, something that would give some profit to Juventus, but also making sure that we are saving on his huge salary. Would have been really great if only we had Pogba, but we will not have him in January, so Rabiot, will he leave or not? We don't know. It will all depend on the condition of Paul Pogba, but also if yes or no Juventus wants to take a risk. There are other teams on Adrien Rabiot, Chelsea, but also Paris Saint-Germain, that is on top of the priority for the French club to sign our French player, to have a comeback of Adrien Rabiot to Paris Saint-Germain. First option apparently. Adrien Rabiot that today should play versus Morocco, but he has a problem because the air conditioning in the stadiums are affecting some players. 2 players of France team are not sure to play today in the semi-final to reach Argentina in the final. Guys, my big question for you, speaking about the World Cup, can Morocco do a miracle today? I'm curious to read your comments. By the way, don't forget, maximum of likes, subscribe to the channel. I will not repeat it enough. And also a question, guys, we are that close to reach 23,000 Juventini on the channel. I'm asking all of you and your families, let's try to reach it before the end of the year. We continue with the bad news. There will be some good news as well, I promise you, but we have to continue and go through all the bad news that we have, because Gazzetta dello Sport is not speaking only about Paul Pogba, but they are speaking also about the number 9s that are at the box. Lukaku for Inter, but also Dusan Vlahovic for Juventus. Dusan Vlahovic that is on the paper of Tutto Sport today with Vlahovic frena. Vlahovic is braking, is stopping a moment. Juventus is accelerating. Accelerating what? We will come back on that. But what about Vlahovic? Yesterday he did his medical test where we would have known if immediately he could join the team to train and maybe even participate to the game of Arsenal. It's out of question. He will train also him as individually. He will train individually because the growing pain is still there. Better than when he left for Qatar 2022, so we see some evolution, but not ready yet to train with the team. The program, the plan is to have him for the 4th of January versus Cremonese, ready to play with Juventus. There are other bad news about Vlahovic, of course. It's yesterday, Ben Jacobs, English journalist, or at least a journalist that is actually taking care about English clubs, Arsenal, Chelsea, but also Premier League. Yesterday, out of nowhere, he came with insisting voices about Mercato to sign Dusan Vlahovic from Juventus. In 2023, it's quite vague. He's speaking about 2023 in total, could be at the end of the season, but also he's not excluding a possibility of Vlahovic leaving Juventus already in January. Of course, if you are reading every single word, you see that there is nothing concrete yet at the moment. He's speaking about Chelsea, even if there is nothing particularly advanced at this point. He's mentioning Arsenal, but also there he's saying nothing significant between Vlahovic and Arsenal. My opinion, I said it really long yesterday during the live, my opinion, and if you didn't watch it because we speak really a lot about that, is that Juventus makes no sense to sell Vlahovic immediately, because if you want to cash in, if you want to make some profit, well, you will have to sell him for 120, 150 million euro. I don't believe that now in January, some clubs, even rich clubs in Premier League, would invest that money for a player in doubt because of growing pain. I'm not sure about that. In the summer, I don't even believe it, even if it's true, that Juventus complicated their plans alone, because giving that big salary to Vlahovic, 7.5, most paid player at Juventus with Paul Pogba, well, it's a big problem, because you will have small margin to renegotiate an extension when the time will come, contract until 2026. Will he leave Juventus one day? Probably yes, we all know it. Now I believe personally it's too soon, because selling Vlahovic, you will not have enough to invest in another top player, another number 9 that is able to score and bang goals. So I trust Vlahovic staying at Juventus for the remaining part of the season and even next season. Then I can be wrong, of course. We have other bad news, my friends. Yes, we have, because Tutto Juve yesterday, not Tutto Sport, but Tutto Juve online paper about Juventus, they said that Di Maria could potentially also leave in January and not going back to Juventus. Why? Because there are some offers from Inter Miami in MLS, but also some offers from his clubs. His beloved club Rosario Central in Argentina and even River Plate. What will Di Maria do? We waited so long to see him. Yesterday Di Maria didn't even play in the semi-final, so another problem for Juventus having him back. He will not be at 100% of his condition. What can Juventus do? Well, if Juventus is thinking about cashing in with Di Maria, it makes totally no sense, because how much will we earn? If we are looking at Blaise Matuidi, Higuain, they went for free to Inter Miami. If we are thinking about Brazilian or Argentinian clubs, took some players from it at end of career with €0, I don't believe that Juventus will cash in a lot of money out of Di Maria. So it makes totally no sense. I hope to see a fantastic Di Maria coming back from January on, because we will need him. And also because at a certain moment, stop, basta. We can't sell everyone in January. Vlahovic, Pogba not playing. We have Chiesa that we have to speak in a second because that will be the last big annoying and bad news of the channel. Di Maria leaving, Rabiot leaving, McKennie leaving at a certain moment. Stop. I remember a letter from Juventus that said a lot has been said and a lot will be said, a lot will be written about Juventus. Pay attention to all these news. They are making a lot of voices and rumors. Tranquilli, let's see. Now, Federico Chiesa, unfortunately, yesterday he took a big knock in the training, in that small game, a game played with a lot of intensity. This is also why Tuttosport was saying Juventus is accelerating. Well, they go full power, they want to be ready. There is no calma anymore. It's now, adesso, andiamo, now, ora. These were the words used by Massimiliano Allegri yesterday in that game. He wants to increase the intensity. He wants to make sure that the people on the field, they understand that we can't just be passive and relaxed. We have to give 200% if we want to chase back Napoli at +10 from Juventus. So attenzione to Federico Chiesa, because he received that knock yesterday. He stood on the ground, or he laid on the ground for a few minutes before stepping up, continuing a bit the game, and then going out. Nothing to worry about yesterday, but today Gazzetta dello Sport is going with attenzione because Federico Chiesa is a bit hurt. Apparently there is maybe a potential small muscular problem, something that we already saw with players that are coming back from ACL. We don't know, he will do some tests. I tell you the truth, I'm a bit worried because Federico Chiesa, we were all expecting him to see him playing versus Arsenal, to turn that page, that negative page of 2022. We don't know. Let's see what the result will be. I don't want to worry a lot of people, but we'll have to pay attention, of course. What about the good news? Because I promised you there were also some good news. Well, Iling Jr was training partially with the team yesterday. Not yet a full training, but partially. He's increasing, he is back. But the great news, the fantastic news, is that Nikos Kira reported yesterday evening that apparently it's a done deal between Iling Jr and Juventus. Not even until 2026, but until 2027. And the player will instantly be promoted to the first team. We have Vice Kostic on the left side of the field. We found him before that big injury caused by Di Francesco. Well, Iling Jr, another next-gen product that will be there together with our team. I'm super happy. He's not the only one that extended his contract, but also another promise for the future. Mulazzi is extending his contract with 2026 with option until 2027. Another one that might extend his contract is Danilo. From the moment that he will be back at La Continassa, they will continue to talk with him to extend until 2025. Some great news is there. Guys, I have maybe an inside information. Attenzione for the game versus Arsenal, because for the people that are curious about the next gen players, well, you will not see them because they have the game on the same day as Juventus. But what about the under 19 players? A lot of them could potentially join Juventus to London. We are speaking about maybe Mulazzi, but also some players like Kenan Yildiz. Attenzione, I just tell you, attenzione, and Mangula, and so on and so on. What about Mercato? Well, Pellegrini to Lazio is a possibility, but we have to convince Eintracht Frankfurt that is actually the owner of the destiny of Luca Pellegrini until the end of the season, because he's on loan there. If we are able to convince him, there are some chances to loan him out to Lazio. What is Juventus thinking for the left side? Where we are thinking about Parisi, but also still on top of the list, Grimaldo, that could potentially be free, or he will be free at the end of the season. What about Karsdorp? Well, they will train back, they will go on a tour in Portugal. Will he go with the team or not, or will it be a total stop with Roma? We will have to follow it. Guys, this was it for me. I told you a lot of news, a lot of bad news, a lot of news that are making me worrying. Me that was expecting or hoping like Allegri that this international break, that long international break, would have brought us back some players in top form to start immediately from the 4th of January. Well, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It really doesn't stop, and it starts to be really annoying, because what I want is to have a full Juventus, and then we see what the field will tell us, the answers that will be given from the field. But I want a field with options. I want to give Allegri the options to choose and to go what he thinks is the best. Then we can succeed or we can fail, but without any excuse, because J Medical is starting to be too full and it's annoying me. Guys, maximum of like if you want to. Thank you for following. Grazie, forza, Juve.